Hello everyone and welcome back guys to Season 2 Round 19 of the F1 2018 Williams Road to Glory Career Mode, where today we're here at the Mexican Grand Prix. Really looking forward to this one. Last season it didn't quite go in the way I had intended, but going into this weekend's Grand Prix we have got 3 upgrades on the car. 1 fuel efficiency and 2 chassis from weight reduction and something else that I couldn't quite read in that short space of time. So yeah, really looking forward to this one. We've now jumped Mercedes overall, so we have the 3rd best car in Formula 1 right now moving through into this Grand Prix, and well, safe to say that does fill me with a little bit of confidence here. You can see, yeah, but we're right with Red Bull as well. You know, it's very tight between basically the top 4 teams there, and Sauber generally are very close. You know, they seem to have a slightly better car than the performance does let on. But yeah, really looking forward coming in to this Grand Prix, obviously hoping that we can have a bit more of a return to form. The last couple of rounds haven't gone quite the way I would have liked. For some reason, we have been really just not there on the pace in terms of qualifying at the Japanese and US Grand Prix. But coming into Mexico, this should be a track that suits our car. We've got very good engine, we've got very good aero, not so much of a chassis-based circuit as well, which is obviously really ideal for us. Obviously quite a flat circuit as well, so we should be able to keep it very planted around a lot of this Mexican racetrack as well. But yeah, in terms of free practice, they're very simple showing for ourselves. We were actually able to get quite a few points from that session as well, which is obviously absolutely perfect. Moving into this Mexican Grand Prix, we've got 3 rounds to go this season, but as I've said so many times in the past, we're basically now just got our mind ready for Season 3. There are 401 R&D points claimed from free practice, so it takes us now to 689, which should be one more upgrade on the car as well. That would try and go, I think, for an extra chassis upgrade as well, because obviously that is really the one part of this car that is really struggling at this stage of the season here. So we will try and go for one more part. It costs 666 R&D points, so we have just got enough there. Lightweight wheel rims, I should say, we'll go with that. Should make the car a little bit more competitive, and should, if obviously it all works out and no one else goes for any upgrades, it should make us equal with a Red Bull overall, which, safe to say, I wasn't quite expecting to say by the end of Season 2 of this Williams Road to Glory Career Mode. But yeah, let's move on then into the Mexican Grand Prix weekend. Q1 was obviously a very simple showing for ourselves. Nothing really too much to worry about there. This car we should be expected to easily get through Q1. They can see it was actually a Force India 1-2 there. Sergio Perez at his home Grand Prix having a very strong showing there. Just 21 thousandths of his teammate Esteban Ocon in Q1, with myself in P3, Seb 4th, the Renault's 5th and 6th, K-Mag 7th, Van Dorn doing a good job up in P8 there, with Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, Daniel Ricciardo, Rixon and Bottas further down the order. Kimi Räikkönen, now a Formula 1 World Champion, went out in Q1. Not really too sure what to make of that. Charles Leclerc having a very weird session there. He was half a second off, but ended up all the way down in P15, so not too sure what we make of that. Coming through towards the end, though, of my Q2 run here, making quite a big mistake out of the final corner, but down towards the line, and we're going to be able to split the Mercedes cars there between those two up in P2, which is obviously really ideal for ourselves. And by the end of the session, although it would be quite tight, we would then make it through into Q3 there behind Hamilton, Seb, Verstappen, Bottas, Ricciardo, K-Mag, Rixon doing a fantastic job there all the way up in P7, with Perez, myself and Nico Hülkenberg rounding out the top 10 here. But what I'm going to do, guys, is leave you on board with my Q3 lap here. It felt like fairly hooked up on the whole, so hopefully you guys enjoy. out of the final corner. And then down towards the line, we are going to be a few tenths up on my previous best lap. And it is going to be, by the end of Q3, P2 on the grid there. So I will certainly take that. Very, very happy with that result on the whole. You know, that's worked out a lot better than I was actually expecting, considering how weak this car has been in qualifying over these last couple of rounds. But yeah, Bottas, a dominant lap, ready for pole position there. What a fantastic job that was by him. But yeah, once again, we were able to split the Mercedes in Q3 there. But I think we're ready then. We're looking strong, we're looking good, and I'm really, really excited for this Mexican Grand Prix. A very, very good chance to score some big points relative to our rivals here. You know, we're still in a 5-way battle for P5 overall. But yeah, let's move on then into the Mexican Grand Prix. So here we are then at Mexico, ready for, I think it's the highest altitude circuit on the Formula 1 calendar here. Round 19 of the season, although the championship may already be decided. I'm really, really looking forward to this race on the whole. It would be Lewis Hamilton that would come through for the victory last season, 11 seconds clear of Sebastian Vettel, with Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo 3rd and 4th, Bottas 5th, Perez 6th, Carlos Sainz and Nico Hülkenberg, with Esteban Ocon and Fernando Alonso rounding out the top 10. It would not be a good race for myself, though. We'd struggle with tyre temps in the early stages and have to retire barely a third of the way into the Grand Prix because, well, we were a lap down and just absolutely no control of the car. We didn't want to do any more damage to it than we had already done here. But yeah, around at this Mexican Grand Prix circuit, hopefully Season 2, we will be able to keep the tyres in a lot better shape than we were able to last season. But although Mercedes and Williams, the 3rd and 4th best car, ranked currently going in towards these final 3 rounds of the season, we had a 1-2-3 on the grid. My teammate Lance Stroll actually didn't opt to do any qualifying, so he will be starting right at the rear of the field. But yeah, quite an engine-based circuit, which you'd think would suit Ferrari, but still, you know, the less said about that, the better. But Kimi Räikkönen, obviously world champion now, but 1 point separates Sebastian Vettel and Lewis Hamilton in this race. There is no way anyone can catch Ferrari in either of the championships, though. But Valtteri Bottas, I'm sure he would love to make it, I think, his very first win of the season. It's just not been the season for him here. But yeah, Valtteri Bottas, though, would line up on the pole position. Now, we'd be 3 tenths back in P2. Very, very irregular that we see a gap like that at the top of the standings. Lewis Hamilton, 3/4 of a second behind his teammate, with Seb over a second back. The Red Bulls would make up the 3rd row, with Perez, Ericsson, Magnussen and Hülkenberg rounding out the top 10. Carlos Sainz and Van Dorn, Charles Leclerc and world champion Kimi Räikkönen all the way down in P14 ahead of Ocon, Alonso, Grosjean, Pierre Gasly, Lance Stroll, and although Lance didn't set a lap time, Brendan Hartley will start behind him. But yeah, almost ready then for the Mexican Grand Prix.
You're above where we expected on the grid. Be careful not to lose places, as there will be faster cars around you.
So yeah, the team really, really not expecting this car to be particularly as quick as we were able to get it in qualifying here. But I personally think, you know, we've got a lot of potential in this Williams car as we come into this Mexican Grand Prix. 3 rounds to go of the season. You know, everything is all to play for still for myself. We're in a titanic battle for 5th place overall in the Drivers' World Championship, as well as 4th place in the Constructors as well here, and just hoping we can try and make it work. But here we are then on the grid, ready for the Mexican Grand Prix. It is 5 lights here, a huge run towards turn 1, and it's 5 lights, and away we go, and actually off to a very, very poor initial start. That we do get a good second phase of the launch, then we instantly try and duck into the slipstream of Valtteri Bottas. There a little bit of contact with Lewis Hamilton as we make the long run towards turn 1 here. We're going to be 3 wide as we come in towards turn 1 here. Seb is going to try and set a dive down the inside of absolutely everyone there. That unfortunately slows down Bottas ever so slightly. We do pick up a tiny bit of front wing damage there, but it's not going to cost me all too much there as we do get the drive on the exit there. Ericsson is looking to challenge Lewis Hamilton down in towards turn 4 here. What a fantastic start that has been for the Swede as we come now down, breaking in through this second chicane here, and we have been able to hold on to P2 there. Seb not able to go for any more rash dive bombs there, and yeah, we now are going to try and hold on to this P2 as we come through these next couple of laps here. But by the end, though, of lap 2, struggling to get into a rhythm in the early stages of this race, but it already looked like Valtteri Bottas was trying to pack his bags and set himself off for the rest of this Grand Prix. Already had a 2.5 second lead over myself here, but Seb is going to potentially get a run down in towards turn 1 here. Just goes to show how quick this Williams car is, that he can't even try and mount a challenge as we come down in towards the first braking zone of lap 3 here. But yeah, now we've finally been able to get the tyres into the operated window here. We were really, really starting to get into build up a bit of rhythm here. You can see on lap, well, by the end of lap 3, we had taken a good few tenths out of Valtteri Bottas on that last lap here, and over these next couple of laps we were really, really be able to close down that gap. Next, now setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix as we come into lap 5, and that gap now down to just under 1.5 seconds here as we come onto the end though of lap 7, and we are now starting to pile on the pressure to Valtteri Bottas here. So he dominated the opening couple of laps of this Grand Prix, but this Williams does really have strong race pace here, and I was really, you know, feeling very confident. The tyres were in a perfect window, the car was feeling very smooth as well here. These chassis upgrades clearly working out very nicely for ourselves here, and on to lap 8 of this Grand Prix we go now. We're in the slipstream, we've got the DRS, overtake mode, ERS and rich revs as well there. Nothing Valtteri Bottas is going to be able to do as we make the run in towards turn 1 there. We will now inherit the lead of this Mexican Grand Prix here, and now we've got to try and make these tyres work. A couple more laps here. I think the AI will be trying to pit on the end of lap 7 here, sorry, the end of lap 8, and Bottas and Seb would both dive it in to the pit lane there. So over these next couple of laps, we have really got to try and push. They'll be down in traffic here, but we've now also got to try and manage these much worse tyres here as we come through towards the end of lap 10 though, and it really just wasn't an issue at this stage of the race. You know, the tyres were feeling good. The game thought we probably had to do a 2-stop, but I'm going to try and take a gamble. I'm going to go onto a set of these super soft tyres here on the end of my first stint and just see how far they can go, because even if we can only take them to say lap 27, lap 28, at least then we'll be one of the quickest cars on the track in the final stint. Obviously, if we do have to go back out on a set of the the ultra soft compound tyres here. But getting down in towards the pit lane, a little bit of an erratic entry on the whole. Quite a big lock up there, but you know, we haven't got to take these tyres any further in this race. We will just do that. A nice quick 2-second pit stop here as we now come down towards the exit of this long pit lane here. You can easily stop the speed limit line a little bit earlier, in my personal opinion there. But out of the pit lane here, and we are going to be in the lead of this Mexican Grand Prix there. So Bottas has actually dropped down to P3, so he really has not been able to make this undercut strategy work on myself. The overcut has really paid off here, and we are still ahead of both Seb and Valtteri Bottas in this race here, and now it's just a case of whether we can try and hold on over these next few laps. Seb would still be able to maintain the pressure here, piling it on over these next 5 laps here as we come on to lap 16, almost the halfway stage of this Grand Prix already here, but he'd actually face critical issues here. Not too sure what has happened to the Ferrari. I think it was a puncture looking back after the race there. But yeah, Seb is going to drop way off myself there, and that's going to leave Bottas now back up into P2 of this Mexican Grand Prix. VSC has been deployed, but it's really not going to do anything in this race there. So yeah, Bottas back up into P2 here, but it's looking like he is definitely going to be going for a 2-stop Grand Prix here on that set of the ultra soft tyres here, and we're just going to see how far we're going to be able to take these soft tyres. On to the end though of lap 19 there, and Bottas and Lewis had been fighting there, but Lewis unfortunately would pull to the wayside here, retiring from this Mexican Grand Prix. Obviously able to take home the race victory last season, would not be able to repeat that feat in the, season 2 of the F1 2018 Williams Road to Glory Career Mode, and that leaves Bottas 7.5 seconds behind me here. And by this point in the race, you know, his tyres were really starting to go off here, so it was looking even stronger for myself that we've been able to put out even more of a margin towards the end though of lap 21 here. You can see the gap now up to 9.5 seconds here. We were about halfway through this stint, and these tyres were just feeling so good at this stage of the day here. You know, I think they're about sort of 35 to 40% wear overall, and yeah, as you can just see by the end though of that lap, it would actually be Valtteri Bottas, Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez all diving into the pit. Charles Leclerc would try and take his tyres just a couple more laps in this Grand Prix, but by the end though of lap 27 here, it just wasn't an issue. You know, we were just really confident with this car, and it's been a long time since I felt just this confident, this smooth with this Williams car. But 8 laps to go, the tyres are just creeping up to around the 50% wear rate at this stage of the day, but we've got a 25-second gap. If we needed to, we could dive it into the pit lane, and as we skip on to the final lap of the Grand Prix, it has been a very strange race there. The AI were only able to take out about 5 seconds out of me over those next few laps here, but 73% tyre wear, it just simply wasn't an issue here. As we come through the final couple of corners of this Mexican Grand Prix, it is going to be an absolutely dominant race in the end that I was really not expecting that. Clearly new upgrades equals new potential here, and through the final corner of this Mexican Grand Prix, it is going to be a dominant first place here, our 3rd win of the season, and what a race that is for the Williams team.
Great job, you've done everything we wanted today.
Brilliant stuff from Williams today. What a superb victory. So, Ant, how exactly did they set themselves apart from the pack today?
Well, I'd say it's just raw pace, plain and simple. I mean, we could sit here and talk about strategy all day, the overtaking, looking after the tyres, but at the end of it all, if you want to win, you need a package that's got the speed over everyone else, and that's exactly what they had today.
And I can see our drivers making their way out now. It's been a sublime team performance, and it's the culmination of a lot of hard work. Williams are your winners today.
So yeah, really can apologise there that there just was not that much action in the Mexican Grand Prix there, but it would be the win ahead of Charles Leclerc there in that race by the end there. Valtteri Bottas would come through for the final podium place there, but rather weirdly, the total race time was 10 seconds slower than it was in last season's Grand Prix. So although, we've seen quite a few aero upgrades, especially, with our car, it's a lot quicker than it was last season. Lewis Hamilton's race time last year was still even quicker than this year's Grand Prix there. But Charles Leclerc, as I said, will come through for P2. A fantastic job by the Sauber driver there. Really just go to show how much progress Williams and Sauber have been able to make in this World Championship there. My teammate Lance Stroll would just miss out on the top 10 coming all the way through from the back there. A bit unfortunate for him, but hopefully, that isn't going to have, it's not going to play too much havoc in the Constructors' World Championship here. We are still going to be able to make big gains over Force India there. Kimi Räikkönen would come through for P7, take 6 points in his first race ever as a two-time world champion. Not quite the race I'm sure he would have wanted there, but in terms of the Drivers' World Championship, obviously that gap between Seb and Lewis does stay at 1 point, as neither of them able to take home any points in that Grand Prix. Daniel Ricciardo in no man's land in P4, but Bottas 1 point ahead of myself. Charles Leclerc jumps Verstappen and Sergio Perez here, so as we come in towards these final 2 rounds of the season, the fight for 5th. 5 teams, 5 drivers, 26 points going into the final couple of rounds of this season. It is going to be very close, but obviously I'm hoping I can do absolutely everything I can to claim that P5. We jump up to P4 in the Constructors' standings as well, and then have 3 points clear of Force India as well. But hopefully, you guys have enjoyed this video. As I said, I can only apologise that it was just a very quiet and dominant race for ourselves. If you want to go check out my League Racing channel with Gran Turismo Sport content as well, click on the orange link currently on your screens. If you want to go check out my Forza Horizon 4 channel as well, click on the green picture on your screens. But thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time for the penultimate round, the Brazilian Grand Prix.